Welcome to Trail Mix, a fresh blend of what's happening at Rowan-Cabarrus Community College and in the world of higher education. It's everything you need to keep you informed, inspired, and as always, navigating forward. Welcome to this edition of Trail Mix. I'm your host, Carter Wingfield, and today I'm joined with our co-host, Tabitha Harry. How's it going today?
Good. I'm so excited for this one.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you co-host these podcasts with me.
Thank you. I love it. It's great.
We are also joined with a couple members of our art and design program. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. My name is Bailey Wingler, and I'm chair of the art and design department.
Okay, and I am Lance Brush. I've been a student at the college for 2 years, and I'm also a student of the art and design department. So, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we officially started recording the podcast, but with the name Lance Brush, it feels like you were born into being an artist from the get-go.
Yeah, I know. People tell me it's like destiny, it's like, I'm supposed to be here, which is really cool.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have a memory of like a Lance Bass back. Was it NSYNC or Backstreet Boys? One of those guys, one of those boy bands back then, Lance Bass. But now we have a Lance Brush who is officially, he's the most famous Lance we know now.
The new guy in town.
He's becoming a very famous Lance, and since he will not brag on himself, I'll brag on him for just a moment. So Lance came to us, and he is graduating soon with an Associate of Applied Science in Graphic Design. He's also completing the Associate in Fine Art and Visual Art program, so he'll have 2 degrees. And during his time here, he has served as an intern to the Art and Design department twice. And this year, he's a student ambassador for the college. So Lance is excelling at all things.
Got a lot going on.
Yeah, look at you.
Don't forget Skills USA, second place.
Oh, okay, Lance.
Second place?
Yeah, in advertising design.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So when he's done interning with the art and design program.
Send him up here?
Yeah, send him on up.
There you go.
So, welcome. Thank both of y'all for being here. And Bailey, you've been program chair of art and design for how many years now?
November was my 2-year anniversary.
Okay, nice. Crushing it.
Yes, 2 years as chair, but I've been with Rowan-Cabarrus for a very long time. I was once a student here and graduated from our program before transferring on and getting my undergraduate and master's degree. And now I am back and have worked here in numerous capacities, but I love this college and this community, and I'm just so happy that I get to be a part of it every day.
Well, yeah, we're excited to have you. And Tabs and I got to explore the Bridge Gallery a little bit, and we saw some work by both of you guys there. It was pretty cool. Lance, yours was super interesting. I was trying to figure out how you did it. It said it was digital photography, but it looked like it was made on canvas.
Yeah.
With some cyanotype.
Yeah.
Now, how did you do that? Because I take a lot of pictures, and that looked very different than most pictures that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So with photography, a lot of people think photography is just, you pull out your camera, take a picture. But in the very beginning, like in the early years of photography, they had it where you could coat a paper or like basically a support or surface with a chemical, and then you'd block out some areas first and expose that to light, and it'll produce an image. And this was also a method of photography back then. I think they call it photograms.
Okay.
I think that's like the technical term, but yeah. So that was what we did. We went outside, we gathered a bunch of like leaves, flowers, a bunch of other stuff, and then coated the paper, and then we laid all the materials down on the paper.
To like block the light from hitting it?
Yeah, and then we put it inside of a light box, like a UV light box, and then just had that sit there for about 20 minutes. And then after that, we took out the paper, we washed it, and then our instructor helped us like stitch all the pieces together. Yeah, it was a really fun process.
It was a couple pieces all stitched together. And where you had the light block, it was silhouettes. The way that the chemical was brushed on it had a very artistic look to it. It was like it was done with a paintbrush.
Yeah.
So it was super fascinating. It was really cool work. So great job.
Thank you.
Bailey, we saw some of yours with the mason jars.
Yes. So the current show in the gallery is called Remix, and this is a show about finding repurposed materials, found materials around your home, things that are recycled, and using them to create a new artwork. So in Lance's case, they were able to do the cyanotypes with found materials around campus and learn a new photographic process. For my work, it is a printmaking, relief print based work, but I actually brought in flowers and showed students how to physically hammer pigment out of a flower into the paper. So we're thinking of color now, not as just this kind of abstract, term that we see it in our mind, we know what it is, but now we're thinking of it as a physical thing that exists in the world, and how can we take that color and move it from one source to another source before it vanishes. So it was a really fun process. I love any opportunity to get in the gallery and make work alongside students. I think they really like to be able to see their work alongside their instructors. And it's also just a time for fun making without, the pressure of an assignment in a class.
Yeah, well, good. Your piece was beautiful. It was super colorful with all the mason jars on there. You could definitely see some of the flowers and stuff that you used on the piece, but I had no idea that the color actually came from the flowers and the plants themselves, which is a really cool physical way to take nature to infuse your art. Yeah, it was cool.
I'm always so amazed because, I go down to the Bridge Gallery a lot. I try to go to the opening reception, things like that. And every time I'm always so amazed that, this is work made by our students. I'm passing the artist in the hallway, and that's just amazing to me. And I remember when I went to one of the opening receptions, I asked you, Bailey, about a piece, and I was like, can you explain this piece to me? I don't really understand. And you were like, I can explain it to you, but the artist can explain it to you even better. And you actually brought the student over to me and they explained the piece. And that was a whole experience for me. I loved it. I just love going down to the Bridge Gallery. It's so amazing down there.
That's wonderful. I love when people come by and give students an opportunity to talk about their work. They get the chance to use that professional terminology and to kind of work through those nerves. So then when they go out into the professional world and have to do this more often, they're a lot more secure in the way that they're speaking about their work, and they're able to communicate effectively. So people like you, Tabs, who come down and really engage with them, are a huge part of the learning process and what students gain here at Rowan-Cabarrus Community College.
So this Bridge Gallery that we have, how did the Bridge Gallery come to be at Rowan-Cabarrus? Because it seems like a really nice asset for our students to have their own little private gallery space. Is it open to the community? Is it open just for students? Who is able to exhibit in the Bridge Gallery?
So the Bridge Gallery emerged roughly 8 years ago. It kind of started as a grassroots, so the exact time is difficult to pinpoint. We have for many, many years exhibited work in galleries outside of campus, and that's wonderful. We do 2 shows every year off of campus, but the Bridge Gallery allows us an opportunity to do shows on a regular, ongoing basis. So as of now, we're doing anywhere from 6 to 8 shows a year. The gallery is open throughout the academic year and throughout the summer. So we try to keep it open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 4, Fridays, 9 to 3. And of course, that shifts with college breaks and holidays and things like that. But it is open to the public. It's open to the campus community. And while we don't currently accept proposals from outside artists, we do host a variety of shows throughout the year that incorporate both our students and our local community in a lot of different ways. So students have themed exhibitions based on things they're working on in their courses or things that are happening out in the world. We might do shows about the importance of the democratic process and have students create work that aligns with voting rights or just a variety of challenges that they're experiencing. This is a way for them to communicate about those different challenges, to share their voices. And it's also a way for us to support our local and campus community. So a lot of those exhibitions might be paired with a donation drive. That democratic process that I mentioned a second ago, we paired that with a voter sticker design contest that incorporated everyone in Rowan and Cabarrus County could submit to that. And we actually handed out the winning stickers at the voter booths. So we try to find ways to connect. We also work with a lot of outside organizations, Salisbury Pride, Art and Soul Rowan, We've done a lot of different exhibitions for the community where artists from the community were invited to submit. These programs, they change. There's so many. I honestly could talk about the Bridge Gallery all day, which would
Buckle up. This is going to be a long podcast episode.
very, very exciting for me. But we meet as a team, all of the full-time faculty who are all professional working artists outside of the classroom. We all meet and plan out shows a year in advance, thinking about what our students are interested in, what's happening in our community, what's happening on our campuses, and how we can use the bridge as a way to talk about it. So now see, I'm rambling, and I forgot what the initial question even was.
Well, we're going.
Well, so I have a question too about the Bridge Gallery that I'm curious about, because I don't know what the process looks like. So is it like you tell students, this is the exhibition we're doing, create artwork for that, and then you like select some pieces, or how does that work?
So it's different every time. Sometimes we might host an invitational exhibition where we have an idea of what we would like, and we know students who are working along that kind of theme. We've done shows, like women's shows that we invited specific female students to participate. Some shows, there's a theme and it's just open and anybody can submit, and we will take and display anything that is submitted. Other shows are juried and there's very specific criteria that they have to meet. If they don't meet it, they are not included. And then sometimes it's, like a traditional gallery where we're really trying to curate a story. So the work that is selected is highly specific based on the curator's direction and creative approach. So from one show to the next, it's totally different. We try to advertise it on our website, the rccc.edu/finearts.
Nice plug.
And so we have a lot of information there about our programs and our gallery space, and we always keep lots of information. I email students way too much, and I beg them to please read the emails because it's just one opportunity after the next, right, Lance? I'll come find Lance and say, Lance, did you know? And it's like a quiz to see if he read the email, and he'll say, did you tell me that?
Man.
Yeah. And even on that note, putting work in the gallery is like a super easy process because all you have to do is sign a waiver. And even recently there was a prepping workshop where you could bring your art. They would help you like frame it. They would help you like, get it ready for the gallery. So then if you're a student and, you want to exhibit something there, it's super easy process, super flexible. Just wanted to add that. Yeah.
Are there ever any opportunities for students to sell their artwork to community members?
Yes. So I do not handle any money, but if a student wants to sell their artwork, we do have them submit information for the labels, and they can tell us, what their price is or whether it's a negotiable price. And that, again, is just part of that learning process. Yeah. So if someone expresses interest in purchasing a piece, we notify the student, we ask for permission to share the student's contact, or vice versa. And then we help the student advocate for themselves and negotiate a fair price for their work, which is probably the hardest part of being an artist, because most artists don't make work with a price in mind. That's not really the goal when we set out, but we all firmly agree that artists deserve to be paid for their work. So we spend a lot of time going around in circles trying to figure out what that means, what that looks like, and how to kind of determine where you sit in this, huge cog of the arts world.
Yeah, well, good. I want to talk a little bit more about the Bridge Gallery, but more specifically, you guys have an initiative known as a Creative Currents initiative.
Yes, so we're so excited. We just got a Rowan Arts Council grant this year. We're really working hard in art and design to partner with local arts organizations throughout the country. The arts are a field that are traditionally underfunded and really have to kind of fight to help the public understand why the arts are valuable. And that's something that we're really always trying to overcome. So when we had the opportunity to attend a workshop that the Rowan Arts Council hosted about their grants and about the things that we as an educational institution might be able to apply for. We were there bright and early and ready to go and took notes, and are so excited to have funding from them this year to host our Creative Currents Arts and Cultural Event Series. But overall, Creative Currents is an event series that's intended to bring high caliber professional artists to Rowan-Cabarrus. So we're really excited. You know, I'm not originally from Rowan County, but I am from a rural area. I recognize a lot of similarities here, and I've come to learn that many of the students who enter our program, while they love art, they've enjoyed art classes, maybe they have done some creative things outside of school, many of them have never stepped foot in an actual art gallery, have never visited a professional museum. They've experienced art on some level, but they've not experienced the type of critically engaged artwork that we want our students to aim for. So Creative Currents is giving us this amazing opportunity to bring North Carolina artists who have, you know, a long history of training and exhibition to come to our campus and share their work and their expertise with our students right here on campus in a setting that is familiar to them, that's comfortable, and that is completely free and universally accessible. And this will be open not only to students on campus, but to the entire community, to anyone who wants to come. And we're going to have visual artists, musicians, writers. I'm so excited because part of this process, you know, in the arts world, a huge part of what we do is relationship building. I do think that there is this idea that the arts mean we go into our studio and we make a beautiful thing and we sell it to someone.
Right.
But that is so far from what we actually do that I would consider that just sort of a perk of the process, that sometimes something turns out really beautiful and someone wants to give you money for it.
Yeah.
You know, wonderful. That's amazing. We love that. But also the arts, you know, are really about being able to think critically, to consider what we see in the world, how we look at it, how we communicate about it, how to be resourceful, how to create change by communicating things that the artist sees through observation that maybe everyone else isn't noticing. And so I'm really excited that we're going to have so many great artists here to start to share about their practice and share about their journeys so that the students here can start to think about where they want to end up, but also our community can start to think about, you know, how the arts are really relevant in their life. A lot of people drive around and see artwork and enjoy it and smile and maybe think about it for a moment, but then it kind of passes, but they don't think about the fact that they're looking at art all day, every day. If you're in a grocery store, there is art and design everywhere. There is art and design everywhere. Yeah. If you're driving down the highway, there's art and design everywhere. It impacts everything we do, everything we think, everything we feel. And I think that this is an opportunity for us to reaffirm the value of arts and culture, especially here in an area where we don't get as much exposure to it as we should.
Yeah, I agree. I view art as a response to something that the artist has observed or felt. So the more that we look into, the more that we invest in a work of art, the more we kind of get an idea of what that artist is trying to convey, what they've experienced. And I think the more we do that as a community, the better off we're going to be.
Absolutely. And it's how we create that connection, right? When Tabs comes down and sees an artwork and is like, I'm interested in this, I'm curious about it, and then speaks to me and we have a connection now, and then speaks to the actual artist and now they have a connection, and then the artist comes back to me and says, this is how our conversation went, this is what I did well, this is what I didn't do well. And you know, all of those experiences are just creating a greater connection. It helps me understand my student better, to relate to them better. It helps them to relate to the public, to the viewer of their work better. All of this is about creating relationships and connections. So again, just super excited about Creative Currents. Information about that will be up on our website with all the different events and opportunities to come out and connect. And I want to just reiterate that, come out and connect. This is about us all learning and growing together. So I'm very, very excited that we have this great opportunity this year. And I also want to take just a minute to shout out the Rowan-Cabarrus Community College Foundation, who often supports our events through student impact grants. They help us with all of our receptions in the Bridge Gallery. They will be some help throughout the Creative Current series, but overall, our foundation is a huge supporter of the arts here on campus and the ways that we're able to use the arts as a bridge.
Ooh, yeah.
to connect with everyone across campus and throughout both Rowan and Cabarrus counties.
Yeah. Are you able to share a little bit about some of the upcoming events in the Creative Current series?
Yes. So in the spring, we're going to have a panel of creative professionals. I'm really, really looking forward to this one. We're still kind of ironing out who these professionals will be, so stay tuned. But this is to answer the age-old question that every artist has of, but how will I make money? and so we often talk about how, they're teachers. We make money because we are professional artists, but we also are educators. Mm-hmm. And both of those things are kind of intertwined for us, which is its own unique path. But we also talk about, different positions within theater, within film, within government. The arts and creative industries are a part of every industry that exists out in the world, whether you realize it or not. Somewhere within your organization, there's a team of maybe one or two, maybe 20 or 30 creative folks who are making sure that everyone knows what you do there and knows what's happening and advertises you and markets you and communicates about you and helps you make important creative decisions. So we're hoping to have a panel of professionals from a variety of different industries who can talk about how they got from point A to point B and what they love about their job, what they don't love about their job, what skills they need to do that, and help our students start to make some plans for the future. I tell all of our students, when you come into the arts, your drive to create is what's most important. If you don't have the drive, you're not going to be able to do this. No one is standing over you, encouraging you to keep going after you graduate. So you got to have some self-motivation. But also, I tell them to remain very flexible. You don't know what this path is going to look like. And as the doors open, when it feels right, walk through and see what happens. And, when I started this journey, I never imagined I would be right here, right now. So you just don't know. And I'm really excited about that event just to give them some ideas. But in addition to that one, we're also going to have a musical event featuring the Northern Indian classical musician, Garang Doshi. He will be performing here at Rowan-Cabarrus with hopefully his daughter and another friend who specialize in that music. But he has offered to also speak with our students about that type of music, its background, its history, his instrument. And it's actually quite fascinating. I've heard the music before, but I didn't really understand its cultural context. And so I think that'll be something that's really, really unique that I could be wrong, but I would guess that most folks around here in Rowan County have not been exposed to before. And then I'm also excited to have a huge final event in April where we're going to welcome the North Carolina Poet Laureate, Jackie Shelton Green, to our campus. She's going to do a book reading and a Q&A, and that's going to be paired with a big series of events. So we'll have a show in the Bridge Gallery that aligns with this, and we're going to also have a ribbon cutting event in downtown Salisbury for the new permanent sidewalk poetry installation in downtown. And so again, this is just an example of us collaborating with these community partners. I think it's so important in the arts that we are leaning on each other, recognizing what resources each other have and what resources could potentially be shared, and using those to lift each other up. If everybody is starting at the bottom, we're only going to get so far, but when we stand on each other's shoulders, That's how we reach excellence. And in this program, that's definitely something we are always striving for. This is not arts and crafts. This is art and design with critically engaged art, and we're trying to help our students think and communicate. And so
I'm excited. This sounds really good. And as a musician, I'm really excited about the musical one. And that one will be really cool. So
I also just want to remind everybody that art is fun. You know, it's not just a project in a class, and it's not just a stuffy, gallery experience where you feel like you're not supposed to touch anything and you're not supposed to breathe too hard and you're not supposed to take pictures. And, I want people to remember that art is meant to connect, to be fun, to be enriching. And so these are opportunities for students and the community and faculty and staff to all come together and just have a good time enjoying the arts and kind of remember why we love it so much.
Yeah, and it's not one or the other. Like, it's not art can be fun or art is a business. Like, there's this blend. And I think bringing together this panel of professional industry experts, working professionals in the art world, and exposing them to poet laureates and professional musicians just shows them, like, hey, you can have fun, you can be passionate about what you're doing, and you can also make a living off of that passion as well. And Lance, I don't know if that's been an expectation of yours, or when you came into the program, if you had given much thought to like what you want to do after you get your degree, but how have some of these experiences and some of this exposure shaped what you want to do after you get your degree?
Yeah, it definitely has, because before I started off as just strictly a graphic design student, and then I had the art added later on. But, being around, I saw all this art, being put in the gallery. I was talking to different art students, and it was like, this stuff is so cool. It's, I've always loved art, but I kind of had this mentality that, graphic design was kind of more practical in terms of, employment. But then seeing all of them and the stuff that they make, I'm like, this is actually, you could build a career out of this, and not even just a career. You could network with people and then just like sort of build this community relationship. Even before the graphic design, I kind of wanted to be like a concept artist. So going forward, it's like I might just go back and like, explore that path later on. So that's something that, I've taken away from like the art and design department.
Yeah. And I think that goes to what you're saying earlier, Bailey, about having an open mind and not necessarily knowing every step that your future is going to have, but as an opportunity comes, like, be open-minded about it. And if it feels right, then try out that opportunity, try out that experience, and just being open-minded to it, and just being open to the idea of like different experiences might shape and help you grow as you move forward.
Yeah.
How does this Creative Currents initiative help strengthen some of our community connections?
Oh, well, I mean, I think that the Creative Currents is going to help strengthen community connections by mostly getting people to come onto our campus. Sometimes it can feel very daunting to go to, for example, a show in the Bridge Gallery on a college campus in some obscure building that has a number somewhere outside and trying to figure out where to go and who to talk to. But I really would like to create an experience where people feel like this is their campus. This is our community's college. And I'm excited to be able to welcome people here to Rowan-Cabarrus, not only for these events, but then to also take that opportunity to show them a little bit around campus, to get to see, the sculptures that we have out as part of the Salisbury Sculpture Show that we participate in every year, to be able to see our huge new outdoor learning center that provides so many great opportunities for people to experience different events in an outdoor venue, for them to visit our brand new renovated auditorium. I'm excited for people to come here and see all the great things we have going on, all the opportunities that we have, and for students to start to recognize that Rowan-Cabarrus is not, a last-ditch decision. This is not where you go because you didn't know where else to go or you didn't apply anywhere else. This is a stepping stone to get you to where you want to be. And I want people in the community to be able to come here, to be comfortable, to get to know us, and to see this for exactly what it is. It's a place to come in, to connect with other folks who are interested in the things you're interested in, to learn and to grow together, and to step up to wherever it is you're trying to get to elevate yourself and to be successful. And I really see Creative Currents as a way to open the door and get people here in a way that's fun and engaging, so that we can show them all the other great things we have going on.
So you talked about students choosing here as a stepping stone. And can you explain what type of degrees that you offer here that students might be interested in, if that's something they're looking for?
I can speak to the two that we offer in the Art and Design program. We have the Associate of Applied Science in Graphic Design. This is a 2-year degree that is geared towards getting students the skills that they need to be successful and to gain employment in an entry-level design position. So that one's a little tricky. We all know that AI is happening. Everyone's a little bit worried about what that journey looks like. And I will just share that as part of developing that degree, it's something that we're constantly meeting about, talking about. What does the evolution of the design industry look like? What's job availability look like? And as we study and evaluate those things on an ongoing basis, we're now pushing students more, digital. So when you think of like logos, brochures, flyers, posters, that sort of like printed material. Yeah. It's certainly still a focus. We still see people using print material a lot. However, as we all know, there's a massive shift towards the digital space. So students now are pushing more heavily into web development, web design, coding, motion graphics, animation. So those are things that we're constantly, evaluating, talking to advisors from the community on how to grow and evolve that program to make sure that students do in fact have the skills that they need to gain employment in the design field. And that again speaks to that flexibility component, being flexible about what you think it means to be a graphic designer is super important. And then in addition to the graphic design degree, we also have the Associate in Fine Art and Visual Art, which is a transfer degree. So that degree is very different. Rather than preparing students to get a job, this program is preparing students for entry into a 4-year Bachelor of Fine Art program at a university. And we're very fortunate here in North Carolina that we have a wide variety of agreements with schools across the state that allow our students to transfer seamlessly between the AFA and BFA programs. So in other words, when a student comes here to study fine art, they're here for 2 years, and when they transfer over to their school of choice, they enter as a junior and they only have 2 more years to complete. So that fear of, are my credits going to transfer? Am I going to be in school till the end of time? All of that we sort of nip in the bud as soon as they get here. All of our students are assigned a mentor within the art and design program that is with them throughout their time at Rowan-Cabarrus. And that person kind of maps out their journey from start to finish, not just start and finish here at Rowan-Cabarrus, but start and finish, and then start and finish again at the 4-year. And then sometimes we even advise them all the way through the graduate programs.
Wow.
We really try to be with our students to motivate, to mentor, to advocate and support them. And I think it makes me so happy to even hear Lance mention the community building that we work towards in art and design, because we reach out to our alumni regularly. I'm celebrating alumni almost every single day. Alumni who graduated last spring and have started at 4-year schools this fall sent me selfies on their first day of school where they met up and they were all in a class together and they were so excited that they all, it was like Team Rowan-Cabarrus at UNC Charlotte, Team Rowan-Cabarrus at UNC Greensboro. And I really try to continue to follow them and support them even after they leave here. They're all doing amazing, wonderful things, and I don't want them to forget about me.
So with the first degree that you were mentioning, the focus is more on the employment side. What careers are students finding after they leave the program?
So again, with graphic design, it's a little bit tricky right now. We're seeing a big shift in the industry. Typically, students were able to enter as an entry-level graphic designer. That could be at a graphic design firm, or it could be like an in-house designer like we have here at the college. But now those positions are really shifting. If you know how to design a logo, they might care about that when you go to get a job at Office Depot. They might, but maybe not. So we're teaching students now how to develop entire brand packages. So they're not just creating a logo, they're creating the whole feel. What do people feel about your brand? What do people feel about your organization? From color palettes, typography choices. Now I'm really excited. We've gotten a lot of equipment. So through the graphic design program, we qualify for some grant funding through Perkins, which is so wonderful for us. And we've benefited by being able to purchase equipment that allows students to do so many different things. And this semester, we had students create designs for a pizza company. So this is an imaginary pizza company. They had to design the full brand package. What do the uniforms look like? What do the business cards look like? What does the sign outside of the building look like? And then they even designed the pizza boxes themselves. And with our new laser etcher that we purchased through the Perkins funding, students were actually able to physically create those pizza boxes and have them and hold them in their hands. So now it's not just an idea that lives in their brain or their sketchbook or even on their computer screen. Now it is a physical thing that they created from start to finish. And I think that creates a different level of understanding and a different skill set that can help push our students into different career pathways. So my hope is that, and what I'm seeing more of, is that more and more of our design students are transferring. They want to go on to a 4-year school to learn a lot of more advanced skills in web development, coding, animation, those areas that we touch on here on a foundational level. I really encourage our graphic design students now to heavily consider transferring into a 4-year program once they're finished with us so that they can learn those advanced skills.
And I love what you said earlier too, like talking about graphic design, about how it's more than just a logo. Because I work with a team of people who have graphic design background, whereas I do not. My experience with the arts was more literature, music, things like that. But after working with them, now I see it so differently when I go to the store. I'm like, down to the paper towels here, somebody created this branding package. Somebody thought about this. Somebody thought about that. So I was thinking about that when you said earlier about when you go in the grocery store, everywhere, that's all something that someone has created. And it's so amazing to watch people who work in graphic design work and to see how their brains work when it's like they can see the smallest details that I would have never even picked up on. But they're like, this is 0.5 of an inch too short and it doesn't line up with this one over here. I'm like, how did you even see that? No one's...
You would notice it if you saw it, yeah. If you saw it in the world, you'd be like, oh man, that just looks off.
It's but you never think about that things. It's I have loved getting to see graphic design artists work and just watching them create. It's so amazing. I love it.
I love you sharing that experience, and I get so excited just hearing you talking about it, because we talk to our students a lot. Package design is something that's becoming very popular for our students. They really are enjoying it. But we talk a lot about, when you go to the grocery store and you stand in front of the wall of coffee bags, how do people pick which coffee bag they want to try? And if you notice, the ones that are the most popular, like the Starbucks or the Pete's or I don't know what, the more expensive versions, the bags are harder to open. They're a little thicker. They feel a little more durable.
Feels like quality.
Yes, it feels like quality. It's beyond just the beauty of the bag or what it looks like. It's so much further than that. When we pick up a bag of chips that the bag just rips in half as soon as you touch it, we assume this is probably pretty cheap, not the best bag of chips. We have assumptions about things like that, and that's why I love to bring in Apple products. When you get your new Apple iPhone or your MacBook and you open the box and it's like a transformer is, assembling and giving you your new beautiful phone, you think, gosh, this is expensive, it's precious, it's important. And so we talk to students a lot about that. Like, you really have to think about the whole experience that the person's having. So, some people would argue that there's not crossover between art and graphic design. I'm not one of those people. I would say that creating that experience and that sense of connection really, is a thread between both fields, and students who can successfully do that could find a pathway on either side of the house, so to speak.
Thank you for saying that. I feel very seen.
I think, too, one of the greatest things in the art and design department is that not only are you giving these students the skills that they'll need for the professions that they're going into, but it sounds to me like you're also helping them build their confidence in themselves to realize that they can do this, and that you're helping them unlock that potential. And I love hearing that. Like, to get these students, you can go and transfer and pursue another degree. That might not be something that they thought was even possible beforehand, but you guys are giving them that confidence to want to pursue even further. So I love that.
Absolutely. It's so important. I try to give students what I feel I did not have and needed. I think most of the faculty feel that way. And it's very important that they're able to kind of build up that confidence in their skill set and in their speaking abilities, especially in an area like this where they just haven't met other artists. They haven't met other designers. They haven't seen examples of what it looks like to be successful in those paths. So giving them, an introduction, the experience through the gallery, through field trips, through series like Creative Currents is super important, because it's a mirror for who they really are and who they want to be that they've never really gotten to see before. And so I think it's super important to help kind of walk them through what the possibilities could be.
You're so good at talking about this stuff. I want to go write some of it on the index cards and put it in my office. It's this is a quote from Bailey right here. I'm putting it right there.
So just in closing, what's the next exhibit that you guys have coming up with the Bridge Gallery?
Okay, so the next exhibition that's coming to the Bridge Gallery is Where the Air Moves Heavy, Pixel and Grain. I'm really excited about this show. It's being organized by our full-time faculty member, Parker Reneker, who teaches our lens-based media courses, which is just a really fancy way to say our photography courses. And so his work is housed in the genre of street photography. So he goes out into the world and photographs what he sees. And here, students are going to explore the relationship to the landscape of the American South. And I know that when we say words like landscape, our minds go to two places. It goes to orientation, portrait or landscape, or it goes to a beautiful painting of a field with a barn.
Yes. You read my mind.
Like a mountain, sunset.
Mountains, yeah.
But in this context, the photography students are exploring the context of this term landscape as more than just a depiction of the land. So they're trying to think about the emotional, the personal, the social landscape of the region. So what makes the South different from other places? What makes it different from the North? What makes it different from another country? What is Southern United States? What does that mean? And so students are going to be talking about things like, when you go to any Southern small town, especially in a downtown area, you might see lots of historical properties. You also might see lots of vacant properties. And so what is the connection between historical relevance and emptiness or disconnection? They might explore different threads within Southern areas. Like, if you're from a small town like I am, everyone says, oh, everyone knows everyone. Everybody knows everybody's business. But also, when you drive through the town, there's a lot of emptiness. There's a lot of nothing. So what is the connection between everyone knowing everyone and also feeling like you're completely isolated in the world? And so these are kind of, very conceptual ideas, and students are going to explore these ideas through various photographic processes. So that show will go up late December before the winter break, and we will host a reception for it it on January 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Bridge Gallery, which is housed on the North Campus in Salisbury in building N107. Those events are always open to the public. We provide lots of great refreshments thanks to the support of the Rowan-Cabarrus Community College Foundation. And, we love to have lots of people come out like Tabs and ask about work and ask about our students and talk to them. So please, 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 anyone who hears this, come.
Yeah. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I am too.
That'll be really good. So yeah, put that date on your calendar. Well, thank both of y'all for joining us today. This has been an absolute pleasure. I always love talking about art and design. So this has been really, really good. If you are listening to this podcast and are interested in either of these degree programs, you can find more about the program at www.rccc.edu/fine arts. And if you want to know more information about some of these transfer programs that we were talking about earlier, we did an entire podcast on transfer agreements and articulation agreements. You can go back and check that out. And I think that was episode 4. So thank you all for coming on the podcast today.
Yes, thank you.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
so much. I hope we can come again. I have so much left to say.
Absolutely. We could talk about the Bridge Gallery and art all day long as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Thank y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Trail Mix. For more stories, updates, and to learn more about how Rowan-Cabarrus Community College can help you navigate forward, visit us at www.rccc.edu. Next time on Trail Mix.
It makes a difference. And so I think if you look at how you want to spend your time, I really wanted to not just change one person's life or even a classroom of students. I wanted a much bigger opportunity to make things better for people. And so I thought the community college was a really good position for that.